Then two senior citizens have a fight. The stupid ref didn't know what a street fight was. He kept yelling at Hogan for using closed fists in a chair. McMahon got busted open with a chair shot to the head. Hogan took out one of the Spanish announcers with a chair and didn't give one shit. And he actually, we learned he was actually busted open.
Whoa. You skipped the highlight and the height of women's wrestling. That was the Fatal 4-Way cat fight. This basically was a bra and panties match, because that's all they did was rip off each other's bra and panties. Oh, by the way, there's a bed. You want to talk about Cancelville? Silver Light wouldn't even be a company anymore. Well, they did that in 2024.
I think this was the match of the night for me. I hate to say it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. I really enjoyed this match.
I think from here, we go to
our Wrestling Rewind.
The Retro Review.
And it's WrestleMania 19. We're back to the Roman numerals. And it starts with a pretty cool WrestleMania highlight package. It's narrated by various wrestlers expressing how much WrestleMania means to them. It's got like Stone Cold, The Rock. I think Jericho was there. I thought it was funny that they like cut to Booker T and he wouldn't say shit. It would just be somebody else doing the narration. Like Hunter. And I think Jericho did one. It's like no respect for Booker T.
He had to get his lickings in.
Right. So we cut to Seattle, Washington. Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler are on commentary, is what I wrote at the time. I didn't realize what was going to happen. This is Ross's 10th WrestleMania. He's wearing John Wayne cufflinks. And then they cut to Michael Cole and Taz, illustrating that this is going to be a long night. Because I hate Taz's commentary.
I think he has his moments.
Rey Mysterio versus Matt Hardy for the Cruiserweight Championship was first. And Cole and Taz do commentary. And this is version 1 Matt Hardy. And Shannon Moore came out with him and he got involved. I don't remember Shannon Moore, so 3.
I don't either.
Wasn't he with 3 Count?
I don't remember who that was.
With WCW? The boy band?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Hurricane was in it. And Tank Abbott was dancing.
I remember. Yeah, I don't know.
All right. Well, this match was so exciting that Cole let us know that Limp Bizkit's performing later. And Mysterio kicked out a Twist of Fate, which was supposed to be a big deal, but there was no build-up, so it didn't really mean anything. And Mysterio hit the Splash Mountain Frankensteiner deal from the top rope that we've seen him do 100 times in WCW. And Hardy went out of nowhere with a roll-up. He also held on to the ropes. For me, it was too cold of a match to get into. And I am so fucking tired of Mysterio at this point in my life.
I thought his mask was stupid. He didn't have a chin strap. So it looked like it was
weird.
It looked like he had started putting it on and stopped. I don't know. It just looked like it wasn't finished.
He was trying to look like Daredevil.
Yeah, it was a Daredevil, but I don't know. I think it needed a strap at least. That's your there.
Well, after that, a limo arrives. The door on the limo says "Cat Fight Girls," and at that moment, I knew this was not going to be a good thing. And sure enough, 2 bimbos come out. They looked weird. Like, that's the most attractive girls that Miller Lite could send to WrestleMania. Like, their bodies were good, but their faces were all... Ugh.
I'm going to tell you the truth. I didn't look at their face one time.
Fair enough. And then they opened their stupid mouths. And I guess they were trying to act, but they sucked. And Michael Cole was stoked about them because he's a fruit. The Undertaker versus the Giant A-Train. It's a handicap match. And Cole and Taz do the commentary for this one as well. And this started because the Undertaker's tag partner, Nathan Jones, was beaten up by A-Train and the Giant after Nunzio stole his wallet. So it's a handicap match now. Does that make any sense to you?
No.
Okay. Well, Limp Bizkit played Rollin'. It sounded like ass. The song did not survive the test of time. The girl backup dancers were stupid. It looked like Mae Young joined them at one point at the end. And then Durst randomly throwing up middle fingers was even stupider. Unfortunately, Undertaker had to come out to Durst and the girl backup dancers dancing like morons in the ring. And like, I just wanted scaffolding to fall on them from the rafters. Never happened.
It didn't help that it was edited. Like the song.
Well, he edited it himself.
Yeah. And if you remember the song, there is a lot of cussing in it. So
yep.
He keeps like.
He did the radio edit.
Back the this track up. It's like
So the match started off as a brawl. Big Show tried to jump Undertaker from behind, and then Taker kicked both of their asses. He hit A-Train with a chokeslam immediately. And then Giant and A-Train flee to the floor, and you can hear Taker say, "Come on, you motherfuckers!" It's great. And then they tell us it's a traditional handicap match where Giant and A-Train have to tag each other, which I thought was funny because like they were all fighting each other to start off with. Giant used a fucking abominable stretch, and A-Train provided leverage, which is funny to me. Giant hit Taker with a choke slam, and Nathan Jones came out to karate the shit out of Giant, and then he booted A-Train in the face.
In front of the ref.
In front of the ref. And then Taker won with a very sus tombstone. Like, I don't know what happened there. That's like 2 finishes in a row that Undertaker's had trouble with.
Well, A-Train is a big person.
That's true.
So, it's probably that. And then, yeah, last time it was just Ric Flair couldn't get it. This was a really heavy emphasis on the streak at this point.
Yes. After the match, Undertaker celebrates with the American flag, and he completely ignores Nathan Jones. And when I saw this match on paper, I was filled with dread, but I ended up enjoying the shit out of this. I enjoyed watching one big guy just have a street fight with 2 other big guys. And the only thing that really ruined it for me was Nathan Jones. Because if you're healthy enough to come out and karate kick the Giant, where the fuck were you to start the match?
That's true. And he kicked A-Train right in front of the ref, which should have been a disqualification. But then I was like, well, is it though? Because he was supposed to be in the match. But I'm always under the impression that if you start the match as a handicap match, then if your partner can come back, I mean, I guess they do it all the time. Like if your partner can come back, then
but he never officially joined the match.
Yeah, you got to get up on the apron and get the hot tag.
Right.
Imagine Undertaker hot tagging Nathan Jones.
That's probably why it never happened. But I think this further validates my point about this being the Undertaker's best version, because no way this works as the Dead Man. Like, no way you can have a handicap match with the Giant A-Train.
True.
Honestly, I would like to see A-Train versus Undertaker.
Undertaker thought he was Dean Malenko chaining like submissions together.
It was great.
He did like an arm bar and a crossface chained together. Like he did the arm bar.
The Fujiwara arm bar to Giant. A-Train charged him, then he got him in a arm bar, and then Giant like dropped him.
Yeah, so he's chaining submissions like he's Dean Malenko. It's like this American badass Undertaker is like
throwing soup bones.
Yeah.
And he's selling. That's the key.
Yes, he is selling.
I think this was the match of the night for me. I hate to say it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. I really enjoyed this match. When Undertaker was in the corner and he was just throwing fists at both of them, like it was a real fucking fight. It's great.
Yeah.
The Catfight girls, Stacy Keibler and Toya Wilson, all screeched, "We love you guys," in unison. Coach interviewed The Rock. Rock is a heel now, so he does his shitting on the fans shtick. Then he vows to beat Stone Cold because he'll have done it all when that happens. And then Rock somehow justifies beating Austin 1 out of 3 times as a triumph.
He said no one remembers the first 2. They only remember the third.
Yeah. Los Guerreros versus Benoit and Rhino versus Team Angle. It's for the Raw tag team titles. Because, got to have 2 separate titles for both shows. And Cole and Taz are on commentary here. And Benoit almost stole the show with Angle at WrestleMania 17. Now he's in a nothing tag match with Rhino as his partner.
You gotta love some Rhino. And the Team Angle was there.
Okay.
And Chavo was even holding his own, so.
Well, Benjamin ended up winning by pinning Chavo after Rhino speared him. To me, this was a clusterfuck that was hard to follow. I thought Benoit was the highlight. I liked when Eddie went for the test of strength with Rhino and then just drop kicked him in the face.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably the best part of the match for me. But yeah.
I saw the gore. I like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was kind of just there.
And after that, the Catfight bitches did more things that made me want to pour sulfuric acid on my head.
So we're building up to, I guess, the Catfight. That's what we're building up to. One person would say something, and then the other girl would like slightly disagree, and then it escalates to a catfight. So what they keep teasing here is Who's more important to WWE, Vince McMahon or Hulk Hogan? You got one side saying, well, Hulk Hogan's more important. Well, I mean, we wouldn't have Hulk Hogan without Vince McMahon. It's almost like who killed WCW?
Chris Jericho versus Shawn Michaels. And Ross and Lawler are on commentary. Cool video package played before the match. It was just basically Chris wanting to be Shawn Michaels, but now he wants to be, the first Chris Jericho. He said that people were saying that he was going to be the next Shawn Michaels. No one was saying that. And then
I remember there were some parallels at the time.
What parallels? They had blonde hair. That's like the only parallel. There was no fucking no.
They were both dudes who could steal the show, I guess.
I don't know of one show that Chris Jericho has stolen.
Hey, he beat The Rock in Austin in the same night.
That wasn't a show stealer.
People still talk about it. He does mainly.
Michaels came out stealing China's cannon gimmick. There's quite a few of them along the entrance ramp, and 2 of them didn't work, and he just shrugged his shoulders at the fans as they cried. And he had his Dutch boy haircut.
Well, he's such a professional. He got the cannon thing over, because the 2 on the right hand,
right,
and then he did the prayer thing, and he shot it, and then the fans popped for it. So I thought it was funny that he got something so stupid, because ultimately they didn't shoot a shirt out. It was just confetti, but he got it over.
Well, I think there was a t-shirt or something in there.
I was looking, I didn't see one, but maybe there was.
So this started off as the, standard veteran overmatching the younger, brash, up-and-comer Michaels, who hasn't been to WrestleMania since he lost to Austin, showboated a lot. Jericho eventually loses his temper and starts fighting dirty. At first, it doesn't make a difference until Jericho catches Shawn Michaels, tries to do a leg drop outside the ring. Jericho turns into a lion tamer. Jericho is closer to Shawn's level after targeting his surgically repaired back. Because before that, there was no contest. Shawn Michaels was just better. But as soon as he got that lion tamer, it's like he cut his leg off or something. There was a cool kip up spot where Jericho did it first, then he posed like Michaels, which prompted Michaels to do it behind his back. I thought that was kind of cool. Michaels did a figure 4. Jericho got another lion tamer, but it was inside the ring this time. Jericho actually tuned up the band and hit Michaels with a sweet chin music. And Michaels teased a lion tamer, but failed. And then he went for a top rope move, and Jericho kicked the ref into the ropes, which I thought was clever. And Michaels later tunes out the band, tries to kick Jericho, but it's turned into a lion tamer. And Michaels just barely gets to the ropes again. And Jericho yells at the ref. Then he gets nailed by a sweet chin music. Jericho kicks out. They fight some more. And then Michaels wins with a simple roll up. I really hate those finishes. And after the match, they go for a handshake. Jericho kicks Michaels straight in the dick. And Jericho tells the fans to go fuck themselves. And the ref leads Michaels to the back while he's cupping his balls.
Such a turn. Because, we thought Jericho was going to be a good sport, but he wasn't a good sport. Such a turn there. I thought it was a pretty good match between the 2. The story that told. It's like, anything you can do, I can do. I'm better, and I'm half your age. So, it was a good story that they were telling there. And the little fit that Jericho threw at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought if it had indeed been 5 years since Shawn Michaels has wrestled or been in, that type of spotlight, he didn't look like he missed a beat.
Well, at least for WrestleMania, it was. I don't know. What was it? After he got knocked out by Tyson, that was the last WrestleMania?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And then he had back surgery. So, he kind of sort of retired.
Yep, and they pulled him out.
I'm not a big fan of Jericho's, but I thought he did good with being frustrated. He knows that Shawn's better. And the fact that Shawn's, just being so cavalier about being better and just really just irritates the fuck out of Chris, and there's nothing he can do about it.
Yep. Good stuff from him.
Yep. Well, after that, I wrote, I think Rene Dupree went into Vince's office, and it turned out to be Sylvain Grenier. I was close because they were tag team partners. The Limp Bizkit performed Crack Addict. Perfect song to bring in the PG era. and it wasn't much better than their Rollin' performance.
It wasn't. I was like, why don't I recognize this song? But I'm not like a big Limp Bizkit. I know every song they ever written. I just
Right.
know the hits and stuff. It was funny that they got introduced as WWE's favorite band or something.
Now they're nobody's favorite band. Triple H versus Booker T for the World Heavy.
Whoa. You skipped the highlight and the height of women's wrestling. That was the Fatal 4-Way
Oh.
cat fight.
Well, while you go over the cat fight, let me go reenact how I watched it. I'll be right back.
Okay. So we had a Fatal 4-Way cat fight. The two ladies. Oops. We got the two ladies that were doing the Miller cat fight. And then we had Tori Wilson and Stacy Keibler. This basically was a bra and panties match because that's all they did was rip off each other's bra and oh, by the way, there's a bed on the stage. So yeah, they rip off each other's clothes. There's one point where Tori Wilson, for some reason, goes for a pin in this match, realizes there was no pinfalls, and just starts spanking Stacy Keibler, who's in a thong. So that happened. And the end of this whole debacle happened when, for some reason, they took off Jonathan Coachman's pants, who was calling this whole thing. Tori Wilson went for the pin. Stacy Keibler counted in, and that was the end of this. And I just want to ask,
great piece of business there.
yes, and I just want to ask, as a serious question. Now that you're going to ask you, can you imagine if any of this happened in 2024? The cat fight, them having to strip down to the bra and panties, even Miller having like the spokesperson be two women with implants who just go around fighting each other, which is just stripping each other
in bed, in the ring.
Yeah, you want to talk about Cancelville? Miller Lite wouldn't even be a company anymore. Well, they did that in 2024.
There's not very many ladies on the roster that I'd want to see in a cat fight.
I'm just saying the whole gimmick. And I'm not talking about what happened on the stage. I'm just talking about this whole idea. Any of it would have them so canceled in 2024.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Oh, what if we have two ladies and they go around fighting and they strip each other down? Are you serious, Phil?
Just
get out. Be saying that, you're fired. And then they got to go on Twitter. During one of our meetings, we had a coworker who said something that was insensitive and
that nobody else heard, but we got to tell you about it so we can apologize.
Yeah. And after having him go to mandatory
sensitivity
behavior, sensitivity training, we then fired him.
After we corrected his behavior.
Yeah. Well,
speaking of canceled, Triple H versus Booker T for the World Heavyweight Championship. Lawler and Ross are on commentary. So the video package showed that they sort of kind of heavily leaned on the black versus white thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty unoriginal, to be honest with you. Triple H played he was in Evolution at the time, or at least he was with Ric Flair. So, it was the limousine riding guy. Of course, they had to have Booker T lean on his prison past, because you can't tell a wrestling story without jail time, I guess.
Especially him. I had to paint the picture of like him growing up in a hood.
Yeah.
His mom raised 9 children in a 1-bedroom. And, he was trying to help his family out. So he went out and he made some bad choices and got caught up for it.
Well, Mama was just lying on her side, letting the 8 other kids just suckle on her teats.
Yeah. He was maybe the oldest, so he had to go provide for his family using a gun. I don't know. It either involved using a gun or using drugs. And by using, I mean selling them.
Well, Triple H even said, someone like you will never be champion.
Yeah. Like you can't be the face.
Yeah.
Poor Booker.
Leading up to WrestleMania, Triple H was obviously overlooking Booker. until Booker made Triple H bleed. And he was kind of forced to take him a little bit more seriously. So the match starts, and right off the bat, Lawler said he did a background check on Booker T, and he learned he was born on a pool table. I'll be honest with you, the whole fucking black-white thing just kind of killed it for me. Like, if you were going to go this route, one, have a different outcome. Two, be a little bit more original. Because I think we're past the I'm better than you. Because you know that's not true. Even if you think your race is superior, you can't say, like, I'm better than you. Or I can't take you seriously. Or you're not a threat to me. So let's stop playing that game.
Yeah, it was a little weird.
Triple H used a Indian deathlock. Ross nutted himself. Booker hit a Harlem Hangover. Flair tried to interfere, and he got decked, which I thought was funny. Shook his head.
When he hit the Harlem Hangover, there was a holy shit chant from the crowd, too.
Yeah, they couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, clearly this was not a crowd who watched WCW.
I like how Flair kept telling the crowd, shut up! So yeah, Booker hit the Harlem Hangover, but after Triple H did the Indian Deathlock, Booker's leg was all fucked up, so he couldn't really capitalize. Triple H hit a big pedigree, and then he slowly crawled to Booker, puts a hand gently on him. 1, 2, 3. So obviously Booker should have won. Again, if you're going to tell this story, if you're going to have Triple H go, look, boy, why don't you go back in the field and pick cotton? But no, Triple H won. Didn't really do anything for Booker. Kind of made him look like a goof.
I remember hearing stories of like the people who didn't go to WCW, and it's like seeing what happened to Booker, this, and then the night he debuted, and the Undertaker was like, "Who the hell are you?"
I think that was Rock.
Oh yeah, Rock. But yeah, stuff like that was like what people not want to go because they knew that they're gonna put you through the ringer there.
Well, there was the WrestleMania where they bought out WCW. And they had the WCW people sitting in like the nosebleed section. They barely featured them at all. They had the Radicals get punched in the nuts by fucking China Mania.
Yeah, now she had a handicap match with all the Radicals.
Yeah, stupid. So yeah, Triple H retained. Hulk Hogan versus Mr. McMahon in a street fight. And if Hogan loses, he has to retire from professional wrestling. We have Cole and Taz on commentary for this one. And I guess this started because Vince and Hogan are fighting over who created Hulkamania. And because of this, Vince, for some reason, always wanted to know what a fight between him and Hogan would be like. And he's like, I always wanted to know just what fighting you would be like.
You have a pocket of fans who think Hulkamania is just like a Vince creation. But then you have another set of people who's like, no, Terry Bollea, if it wasn't him, then it wouldn't have worked. So you got,
there's truth to that. Because look what they tried with the Ultimate Warrior. They tried with Diesel. They tried with Shawn Michaels. Austin might be the closest they've ever come.
Well, could Kevin Nash be Hulk Hogan? Could you see that?
The character?
Yeah.
Okay, well then I'd say the Ultimate Warrior would be the closest thing to that, and they failed.
Getting the heights of what Hulk Hogan was?
Yeah. I mean, okay, Ultimate Warrior was over. He is a lasting name. He's an iconic name, but he was not Hulk Hogan.
And I guess my takeaway of it all is like Hulk Hogan, he went to WCW and created, Hollywood Hogan and, doing it twice in two different companies. It says maybe he had a little bit to do with it.
Just a bit. So you get to the point where they're signing contracts and Vince stabbed Hogan with a pen and made him sign the contract in his own blood, which I don't know if that's legal. And they used Hogan testifying against Vince in the steroid trial and then leaving for WCW. You left me, Hogan. Then you testified. So the match starts. Hogan comes out to bootleg Jimi Hendrix. Should have just used I Am a Real American because the song that they had sucked.
He was treating it like it was Jimi Hendrix.
He sure was.
He even sang the lyrics like, oh, we caught that on camera. Go ahead and cut that check.
Then two senior citizens have a fight. Like I said earlier, I hate Taz's commentary, but I laughed when he talked shit about McMahon when he used a hammerlock in a street fight. It's like, you don't see too many hammerlocks in a street fight. The stupid ref didn't know what a street fight was. He kept yelling at Hogan for using closed fists in a chair. McMahon got busted open with a chair shot to the head. I gotta say, he was at least willing to do what he asked his wrestlers to do. Didn't put his hands up or anything.
He sure didn't.
Hogan took out one of the Spanish announcers with a chair and didn't give one shit. And he actually, we learned he was actually busted open.
Yeah, what a weird detail to put in a match.
Yeah. Well, he has
Like
this
that.
fucking knot on his head with blood coming out of it, and it looked like he was laughing. Like, oh, this is my big moment. Hogan gets busted open too with a chair shot. Vince leg dropped Hogan from the top of a ladder through a table, and he gets the weakest holy shit chant. Seattle fucking sucked, by the way.
Yeah.
There was one moment where Vince, I don't know if he hit him with a chair or not, but he decked Hogan, and for no reason just started doing the Hulkamania poses. And he goes, ah! Vince grabs a pipe, and he has a murderous look in his eyes. I think the murderous look in his eyes, the whole shot of that, where he finds the pipe and he just slowly rises up, and you just see Vince's bloody face, and he's just smiling while Hogan is just not knowing what the fuck's going on. One of my favorite WrestleMania shots. And then he gets kicked in the balls. And some guy in a trench coat hits the ring. Turns out to be Piper.
I didn't know what was going on. Why was Piper there? Maybe there was more story to it. It definitely didn't put that in the video package.
I don't know. Maybe Vince and Hogan were arguing over who created Hulkamania, but Piper's like, hey, I was part of Hulkamania too.
Oh, yeah, I created it. I'm at WrestleMania 1.
But yeah, the guy in the trench coat turned out to be Piper. Crowd gives probably the loudest pop so far for Piper. He keeps kicking Vince in the ass. He actually spit on Hogan. Piper grabs a steel pipe, tells Vince to get up, who he called Junior, and Piper clubs Hogan with the pipe. It's supposed to be shocking, but Piper already spit on him, so I don't know why it was shocking. And Piper blows his nose on Hogan and then signals for him to kiss his ass, and he leaves. Don't worry, though. Hogan kicked out.
He sure did.
Got hit in the head with a steel pipe, and he kicked out. So finally, Vince kicks the referee's ass after he prevents Vince from grabbing the pipe and using it on Hogan. I hate
the ref literally stepped on the pipe like he was. It was like when the wrestlers do it. Usually it's the heel crawling to whatever weapon, and then they get to it, and then the babyface steps on it. That's what the ref did. Like, what are you doing?
Right.
You deserve to get your ass kicked.
Well, Vince tried to throw him out of the ring, but he got caught up in the ropes. So they had to do it again. So good job.
He hit the rope the second time, too.
And then Sylvain Grenier came out, and he kicked the referee's ass. And in the ring, Vince has the pipe, tells Hogan to get up. And then Vince nails Hogan when he does. So good job, Hogan. Vince hits Hogan with a leg drop and he covers him. Grenier, I can't say his fucking name. Sylvain only makes it to 2. Then Hogan starts hulking up, and it rivals Piper's pop. Also might be the first time the crowd says "you" when Hogan points.
Yep.
Hogan kicks Vince in Sylvain's ass. He hits 3 leg drops, 1, 2, 3. And unfortunately, we have to listen to Bastardize Hendrix again. And then Shane McMahon comes out. He has a little stare down with Hogan, but ultimately, he just wants to check on his dad, who's lying in the middle of the mat, bleeding, in pain, feebly giving Hogan a middle finger. Hogan also sort of taunted Shane, so I wonder if there's like a match with him later. I don't know. I hope not. Or at least I hope we don't see it.
Yeah, I was actually entertained by this whole match. Again, I don't know why Piper was there. Still a mystery for me there, but
he's part of what created Hulkamania.
True. I guess we've determined that part of it. But outside of that, I still pop when I see a Hulk gun up. And I don't know. This was a sports entertainment match.
Yeah. Vince was great. I liked his facials.
You said there's 2 what'd you say? These senior 2 senior citizens?
Yeah.
I did right. These 2 old asses are just pounding each other.
Well, because Vince has Hogan in the corner, and all you see is this fucking bald man getting beat up by this other old man. And sure, they look great, from the neck down, but
yeah, they're just old.
Yeah.
Old hitting old. I thought back during this is like, man, when WrestleMania 1 through 9 was happening, I never saw that Vince McMahon and Hulk Hogan would be in a moment where they're going to be wrestling each other.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I never thought we would be here.
Although at the time when Hogan left, I don't even think Vince being in a character was even a thing.
Yeah, because remember we didn't. Well, at least I didn't find out until like the Bret Hart situation.
Hmm.
I didn't even know he was the owner until that. So
Yeah.
yeah, he was very much not in front of the camera.
Yeah, I don't even know if there would have been a scenario where you could have thought of that.
Yeah, that's why it was so crazy that we were there now.
Yeah. Rock versus Stone Cold 3. Ross and Lawler are on commentary. And this is after Austin walked out on the company. Rock told him to take his ball and go home. Austin came back, said, I don't have a ball, but I brought a whole can of whoop ass instead. And whoop ass he brought. Just shows him beating the shit out of everybody. Eventually, Rock and Austin cross paths. And the whole thing's built on Rock doing everything there is to do in life but beat Stone Cold Steve Austin. Then a shitty Limp Bizkit song played, but showed a video of them beating the hell out of each other. And everything up to this point was worth it because we got the full Hollywood Rock entrance with the helicopter, the camera, Miami, I'm assuming, and then Rock just whispers, "Is cooking."
Yeah.
I was happy. That's the only thing I like about The Rock. And this started off with violence. Austin hits the ring. He starts to do his turnbuckle pose, and he turns around and he just locks eyes with The Rock. Kind of slowly nods. Austin slowly takes off his vest, and then they just start wailing on each other, and we're off to the races. Austin gave Hebner the finger a lot, which allowed Rock to capitalize on one of Austin's injured knees. And they fought to the outside. I couldn't stop laughing at the lone Spanish announcer just sitting at the broken desk. He's looking like the guy that like all the girls are taking at prom. So he's just sitting alone, kind of bounces his head to the music.
Pretending he's having fun.
Right.
But he's not.
So Rock inexplicably put on Austin's vest, and Austin does his best Lou Thez press. So he does it. Normally he does the wild punches, but he slowly starts hitting Rock until Rock drops his guard, and then he starts wailing on him. Fucking great. Rock did a kip up, then he got rock bottom for 2. So then Rock did a stunner on Austin for 2. Austin finally hit a stunner, and it's only a 2 count. And poor Hebner, Rock slapped him. Austin's just fucking cursing at him and throwing him and fuck you. Rock goes for a people's elbow. Austin recovers, goes for a stunner. Rock counters with a spine buster and hits a people's elbow. And that's for 2. And Rock hits a rock bottom for 2. Rock goes for a second rock bottom. Austin fights out of it, but it's not enough and gets rock bottom for a second time. That's for 2. Rock hits a third rock bottom, very emotional like and theatrical. And he even holds the pose so they can get pictures. And finally gets the 3 count. Rock says a few words to Austin and celebrates his only WrestleMania victory over Stone Cold. And Austin is given his final moment and walks off for the final time until he faces Kevin Owens.
Good match between them.
It really was. I was sad.
This was one I remember very vividly. It's one of my favorite matches. We already knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know why I like the whole vest thing and putting on Stone Cold's vest. I also like the fact that he did what not a lot of people do. You hit your finisher, it gets kicked out. Nowadays, they just don't know what to do, but he goes, okay, just go back to it. And then he kicks out again. Go back to it. I'm going to do it until I beat you. There's no sense in trying something else.
It's kind of weird that Austin didn't last that long.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. It's like almost like watching my childhood die again. But on to Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle for the WWE Championship. Cole and Taz are on commentary. And did Cole lose his voice?
I actually didn't hear him.
Yeah, okay. So a pretty cool video package. Brock won the Royal Rumble, and he's been tussling with Angle and Team Angle ever since. He was supposed to face Angle at one point, but had to go through Team Angle first, and then Heyman betrayed Lesnar, and then Angle used his brother as a decoy to beat Lesnar. And I actually remember the 1,000-yard stare that Kurt Angle had on the way to that match. I remember watching that live. We may have watched that together. I can't remember.
Maybe.
And eventually Stephanie McMahon states that if Angle is counted out, disqualified, or gets help from Team Angle, he loses the title anyway. So this is the match I was probably looking forward to the most, and this is the one I left the most disappointed after. The reason being is you have 2 legit wrestlers who have competed at the highest level of said wrestling, and they just had a WWE match. I mean, it was good. Lots of, physicality. They looked believable. It looked like they were trying to kill each other. Kicked out of finishes and ankle locks and shit. But I don't know. Especially after the Benoit thing. Like, he had a real wrestling match with a fake wrestler.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. You would think that they would try to actually wrestle.
Yeah. And I seem to remember that there was a match that they had that they did that. And I thought that's what this was.
I just remember the shooting star press spot.
Yeah. That's pretty much the highlight.
But I think they also had a match at SummerSlam, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they had a nice little feud. It just boggles my mind that you have two fucking real wrestlers, high level wrestlers, in your fucking wrestling company, and you just have them do your stupid cartoon shit. I mean, it's straightforward, top to bottom. They both traded advantages. Eventually, Brock hit his second F5, but instead of going for the pin, looks at the ropes, grins, and then proceeds to perform maybe the biggest botch in WrestleMania history. It's funny because you see the wide angle shot and Angle is right under the one corner, and Lesnar, using his infinite wisdom, picks the furthest corner he could possibly pick.
You would think him being so far out would have helped with getting the rotation.
It would have helped with the rotation, but he's still a big motherfucker that would have to cover distance. And that wasn't distance that he could cover, clearly.
I guess of the two scenarios, make sure you get around. If you fall short, then they can just say, he didn't get all of it.
And speaking of rotation, Kurt Angle could have rolled over once. It helped him out a little bit.
True.
Well, Lesnar ended up hitting his third F5 for the win. Lesnar's handed the belt and the camera shoved in his face, but this motherfucker does not know where he is at all. And then Lesnar and Angle shake hands after the match.
After a long time of him just being
out of it.
Yeah. Sitting down. You know where you are right now? Nope.
It's kind of ho-hum. I was also kind of emotionally drained, as gay as that sounds, from the Austin match.
I get it. It's like Hogan and The Rock. It's like after that, I was just so...
We're done.
Yeah.
It's like, what else is there to watch?
I put so much emotion into that. I couldn't watch the rest of the show.
Like, I was sad. Like, I'm sitting here depressed. Like, Stone Cold. The motherfucker's been retired for 30 years now. Or 20, I don't know. He's been retired for decades. And I'm just sitting here, why does Stone Cold have to go away? But that was WrestleMania 19. Well, after WrestleMania, on the next SmackDown, Stephanie came out and basically said that Angle and Lesnar are fucked up and they hurt each other. And she announced a tournament would take place to determine the number one contender for Lesnar's championship. This would take place at Backlash. And one young man by the name of John Cena won after beating Chris Benoit. And he lost at Backlash to Lesnar. And Lesnar feuded with Big Show, who defeated him at Judgment Day in a stretcher match. And then Lesnar would lose the championship to Angle at Vengeance in a triple threat match that also involved the Big Show. And Lesnar beat Angle on SmackDown in an Iron Man match. McMahon and Hogan. McMahon's pissed off. He lost at WrestleMania. So he suspends Hogan indefinitely with pay, of course. Forced him to sit out the remainder of his WWE contract. When this happens, the debut of a bright, young, bushy superstar by the name of Mr. America made his debut on a Piper's Pit. You know, McMahon promised to prove Mr. America was actually Hogan. I think this is where the lie detector test happened and all that shit.
And he
also, he did. It's also featured Zach Gowen, the one-legged Zach Gowen. And then eventually, you know, Hogan pulled off his mask after SmackDown went off air, said, "I'm Hulk Hogan." And McMahon got that on tape, so he fired him. So Stone Cold was fired after WrestleMania by Eric Bischoff due to medical reasons. He was later rehired by Linda McMahon as co-general manager with Bischoff. And later, The Rock hosted a Rock Appreciation Night where he taunted Austin for getting fired, proclaimed he was leaving the WWE because he has nothing left to accomplish, and because fans did not appreciate him anymore. Goldberg would officially make his debut by interrupting The Rock, telling him "you're next," which would lead to a spear. Goldberg, I think, challenged him. Rock initially declined, but then he ended up accepting, and they wrestled each other at Backlash. Goldberg won. Rock went away so he could be a movie star.
I remember that.
I don't.
Rock was like, The Rock has nothing else to do. He's beating everybody. Everybody's chanting Goldberg. And it's like, The Rock's not impressed that you know his accountant, Ian Goldberg.
Well, WrestleMania 20 is next, and I should have looked up the main event. I don't know what it is. I'm sure it's going to be a good one. But before that, we have Great American Bash, 1997, on the WCW side. It's in Moline, Illinois. And that main event is Randy Savage versus Diamond Dallas Page. It's their second encounter, and it's a Falls Count Anywhere match. I think just like the first encounter. Was that a Falls Count Anywhere match? Or was it just no? Maybe it was no DQ. I have to go back and look.
Unfortunately, yeah. I don't remember.
Piper and Flair face the Outsiders for the tag team titles. We have Benoit versus Ming 2. It's another death match. We have Akira Hakuto versus Medusa. It's a title versus career match.
Whose career?
I would assume it would be Medusa's career. It'd have to be because Hakuto's the champion.
I would say, well, we know who's winning that, but at the same time, Medusa didn't stay too long. So
it's just weird that they just have Medusa. You would think that maybe you get another lady, so it's not just Medusa.
The other women are just sex appeal. And we can go back to say, well, Medusa, did you make the right choice?
Harlem Heat also faced the Steiner brothers again.
I noticed they also haven't been back to Sturgis.
Road Wild is 2 pay-per-views away.
Okay. We'll see how that goes.
Sturgis.
I do also want to throw out there that we're entering into the 20s on the WrestleMania, which means they're going to gradually get longer. I peeked ahead. 3.5 hours is like where we're going to live until the WrestleMania 30s, and then they add another hour to WrestleMania. So at its peak, there's going to be a 5.5 hour WrestleMania that we're going to have to sit through.
Christ. Well, fortunately, there's probably a lot of like Bella twins and shit.
And by the way, we're already at WrestleMania 20, so we're almost done with the WrestleMania series altogether. Anyway, that's going to do it for the show. Hope you enjoy. If you agree with anything, let us know in the comments. If you disagree with anything, let us know in the comments. Don't forget, as always, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Follow us on all the social medias that we're on. Link to everything is in the description. On that note, until next time, top guys,